So let's just take a moment to breathe in the atmosphere that's already been established here this morning, the energy that is coming alive with the oneness of light, with love. The vibration of community love, already expressed through our music and through our very souls and our willingness just simply to be fully present here this morning with one another. Because being here this morning means that you have set the intention to allow the inaudible as well as the audible to resonate with our very soul. Because if it's resonating with your soul, then it's resonating with mine, because the vibration and energy cannot be contained simply in one soul, as we are all connected in and through and as the one. And so you're here, and you're here to hear and to see the essence that cannot be captured in the world. You're here to recognize your true light, your true identity. So here's what's happening. In this moment, we are renewing our mind simply by setting this intention to be here, so that we become more than just the words I am speaking. More than just the words I am speaking now and sharing with you, because to be in relationship with the individual next to you is of the utmost importance. Regardless of whether you know each other or not, you're probably going to know each other by the time this service is over. So take a moment just to take in that divine flow that is flowing through each and every one of us, that awareness that is being activated right now within us through the essence of community, coming together to celebrate the joy of relationships, the vibration of the awareness of the divine spark within all beings, activated right here, right now, through the music and through the musicians, allowing the holy to come forth through their hands, through their voices, through that universal intentionality of love. Whether we know it or not, everything that we do right now, all the actions that we take, all that we feel consciously or unconsciously is personalized and sent out into the world. And so we come together this morning to know the infinite potentiality and possibility of living with that love and the responsibility of relationship. I often say, relationship, who's sailing yours? Is it love? Is it fear? Is it more abundance? Is it peace? Is it harmony? Is it the boundless, overflowing love of the universe that we attempt to express every day here at Ahava? Letting go of anything that would interfere with that divine wholeness. Letting go of anything that would interfere with that state of love. Right here it is. Letting go of the past, the future, and simply being right here, right now. And saying, I am willing to stand for love. I am willing. You know, this month the topic is relationships. And the way we relate to ourselves, one another, the world, and the divine. Everything you see is interconnected and inseparable. We cannot declare that it is a just and equitable world while treating others, meaning people and animals in the earth, unjustly. Now, last week, Reverend Rainbow introduced our theme by looking at the idea that how we treat ourselves offers us a greater insight into how we treat others and how we want to be treated by others. She challenged us to understand that love is generative and it's generated from within. Love is who you are, and healing and knowing that takes time. It's not something that we know overnight unless we're small children or babies. And then, for a lot of us, we're taught that it isn't true. Remembering who we are, you see, can take a lot of time. So be gentle with yourselves as you unravel the years of negative self-talk or put-downs from yourself and others. And you see, this type of inner work is not easy, but it's so worth it, isn't it? It's so worth it. And all that is required to do this work is to plan your work and work your plan and have the willingness to do this, the willingness to explore, to get curious, and to cultivate a deep and loving relationship with yourself. So this week, we're exploring the topic, You and I Are We. Dr. Ernest Holmes wrote, Dr. Ernest Holmes being the founder of Science of Mind, wrote, all nature shows a divine relatedness. I have but to contemplate the blade of grass, the growing leaf, or the solar system to see that the divine who has created me has shaped and arranged all things to prosper and to exist in harmony. When I read this quote and decided to use it today, I had to really contemplate the idea of existing in harmony as I was looking up the names of the latest victims of another mass shooting. Catherine Goldstein, Erna McCarthy, Kevin McCarthy, Jacqueline Sudheim, Stephen Strauss, and Nicholas Toledo Zargaza. Here's what I know. The interrelatedness of all of life means that every action we take affects the world. And as Chief Seattle said, man did not weave the web of life, he is merely a strand in it. Whatever he does to the web, he does to himself. Has anyone here been asking themselves, what in the world is going on? Why are we killing each other? Why are we treating life as though it is something to be discarded like trash that we take out every week? Or, is it just me? Because the truth is, I really don't get it. In just over 26 weeks, we have experienced 309 mass shootings in the United States. This averages out to more than 11 a week. Think about that. And think about this. Mass shootings are a uniquely American epidemic. And these all too frequent tragedies have exacerbated a culture of fear in American society, making it so no public place feels safe anymore. It has taught a generation of children to hide under their desks during active shooter drills. In the 50s and early 60s, we were hiding under our desks because the communists might launch a nuclear attack. This was a make-believe monster created out of a desire to control the populace. But now, the monster is real. There's a reason that this doesn't happen anywhere else. Our country makes it far too easy for people who should not have guns get their hands on weapons of war designed to maximize casualties. Now understand, this is not a talk about taking anyone's gun away. I am a gun owner. However, I am a responsible gun owner, and I don't own an assault rifle. Assault rifles are designed for one reason, and that is to kill large numbers of humans very quickly. There is no reason, in my opinion, for any citizen to need an assault rifle. Hear me when I say we have a big problem. Mental health issues, racism, anti-Semitic, extremist ideology, easily available assault weapons, anti-LGBTQ, social media run amok, religious fanatics, and a toxic political climate. And everyone is affected regardless of whether you listen to the news or not. Whether you bury your head in the sand or not, because consciously or unconsciously, we are buying into a culture of fear in America, and that affects us all. Right about now, you may be asking yourself, what does this have to do with spirituality? Everything. Everything. If we changed our beliefs from fear and deepened our awareness of the connectedness to all of life, then our world and everything in it would prosper. And make no mistake about it, we are here to prosper the universe, not to diminish it, which is what's happening right now. Think about this. Were we as individuals, as a country, to embody the truth that there is one source in which all of us live and move and have our being, that we are united with all because all is from this one source, if we were to embody the idea that we are the eternal light itself, then the presence of Spirit as you and me will bless everyone we come into contact with. We will become alive with love, and this love will heal the idea of separation. And because we realize this truth about separation and about ourselves, every living thing on this planet will come alive with this truth and spring forth as a blessing to all. All we have to do is change our thinking about separation. And what will happen is we will make laws from the love of humanity instead of the fear of humanity. Instead of the fear. We will work together to support mental health and begin to embrace diversity instead of fear it. Our elected officials will actually work together for the good of the people instead of spreading false narratives through social media. What if we really started to think of everything as spirit? Realizing that if spirit is all there is, how could there be anything against us? How could there be anything to fear? It is important, you see, to release this myth of separation in order to live within a deeper dimension of your soul. When we live from this place, we will never lose our individuality because we will know that our individual life and the gift we bring contributes to the whole of it all. Because we're in it together. We were designed to be in it together, to support one another, to love one another. And a world, you see, we talk about a world that works for everyone. Well, a world that works for all requires a level of consciousness that has never existed before, because the world we live in right now has never existed before as it does. Our children are dying. Our friends are dying. People who just wanted to celebrate the 4th of July? People are dying for no reason. except perhaps going to school. They went to school. They went to a parade. They went to church. And they died. Never before have so many people on the planet had the news, mass information, and an abundance of social connections readily available on our little mini computers that we call cell phones that we carry around daily. This oversaturation of media has never been before, and if we are to manifest a new world that works, then we must evolve into a new consciousness. A consciousness that calls for us into deeper levels of connection in person and via technology. Think about it. In a world where the pandemic pushed us farther apart physically, we found ways to come together digitally in new, creative, and powerful ways. And today we're called to continue to connect with others in powerful and compassionate ways. Communicate, collaborate, cooperate with others in wonderful and meaningful ways that nurture, empower, recognize, and engage. To pledge, to bind ourselves to one another because of the unconditional, immutable, irrefutable, and irresistible power of love. That's what we're called to do. Because here's the thing. We're at the tipping point, folks. We really are. We increasingly live in a country which is run at the highest levels without a sense of compassion and humanity. While there may be room for power and politics in our government, the way we treat each other, the way we treat human beings is not up for debate. We have a war room in Washington, D.C. How come we don't have a peace room? How come we don't have a Department of Peace? Regardless of our political preferences, we increasingly have a choice between acting out of love or acting out of fear. Do we believe that others are worthy of respect and treat them accordingly? Or do we demonize and dehumanize them? And just look at our past if you don't believe me. There's a long history of blaming the other in times of uncertainty and distress. It is easier to point the finger than it is to take responsibility for our part or our contribution to the problem. And it takes a certain level of personal evolution to assume responsibility, to humbly seek to understand, to leave the need to be right behind, and to contribute to the solution. Get out of the problem and into the solution. I'm not always good at this. Admittedly so. I don't know how you are. But hopefully, and I do have hope because it's the last darn thing to die. I have hope that we can do it. If we choose to face every situation, even the smallest and most trivial situations in our lives, with love instead of fear, we can, as a community, shift into a new way of being. A new way to expand the light so that no one can resist caring for one another. Let me leave you with this today. It's a poem by John Donne from No Man is an Island, and it's been modified for today's language. No person is an island, entire of itself. Every person is a piece of the continent, a part of the main. If a clod be washed away by the sea, the world is the less, as well as if a promontory were, as well as if a manner of thy friends or of thine own were. Any person's death diminishes me, because I am involved in humankind, and therefore never send to know for whom the bell tolls. It tolls for thee. Let's go into prayer. Standing in the power and the presence of love, knowing that there is only one source, one essence, one energy, one vibration, eternally creating out of itself only what is like itself, and never diminished by its creation. Knowing this power and presence as the one source that is love, that is peace, that is joy and abundance and prosperity, that is all good things, wholeness. Knowing this source as that which is eternal and that which is the light that continues to shine and continues to manifest in and through in each and everything. It is the invisible made visible. And as I know this to be the truth of the one source, I know it is indeed the truth of me, that I am the same, that there is no separation, there is only unity and unification. I know that right here and right now, that as I declare and know that Spirit, that the divine, that God, that whatever it may be, because God is simply a word, whatever it may be, it is the truth of me, and it lives and breathes and has its being as me. So therefore, as I lie upon the temple of truth and speak this word for this community, I know that it is simply Spirit speaking in, through, and as me in this moment. Knowing that as I declare and speak to a world that works for everyone, I know that simply by standing here and speaking my word, that the world is changing in this moment. That everyone within the sound of my voice, the living Spirit of the one source of all, is actually opening up and receiving the divine in this moment as the very life that Spirit is. I know that all we speak about, the work to be done, is already starting to take place in consciousness. And once it's taking place in consciousness, I know that right here and right now, it cannot help but spread unto all those that are receiving in this moment. I know that in a world that works for everyone, our children do not have to hide under desks. In a world that works for everyone, we work together to build, to create, and to make laws out of love and compassion and the caring for humanity, for all. I know that in a world that works for everyone, we celebrate our lives. And we celebrate the ideas of working together politically and socially, so that all are lifted up and acknowledged as beautiful and amazing human beings, as amazing vehicles of light, transforming and transcending anything that would stand in the way of this truth. How beautiful. And I can see it. I can be it. I am it. And I declare and know that for all. And there is nothing that is against this beautiful expression of light. And so I know right here and right now as I speak this word that it is already in action, that it is already moving, creating, for it cannot help but do it because the law always says yes. The law is always working to support, to maintain and sustain every day in every way the Word. And so it is with a grateful heart that I simply release my word into that perfect action of the law, knowing that it always says yes. It always says yes. It always says yes. Standing in the power of yes, the place of grace. Shalom, hamdalela, ashe, namaste. This prayer is done. I leave it knowing it is so, and so it is.